Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel, Cruising Out of Sight. I'm Justin. This is my ducky shirt, and I wanted to talk a little bit about cruising ducks today. I was hoping to go over some of the ducks that I've made in the past. I've made all kinds. I've made, actually, for every cruise, I make one of these big ones, or a few of these big ones, actually. It's got the name of the cruise on the top, what ship we're on. It's got the date and my initials on the bottom. I really like handing these out to special people I meet on the cruise. I also make, I'm dropping them all over the place over here. I make special ones for special events. Last Halloween, I made these little witch ducks. They all have magnets on the bottom so they can stick to your stateroom door, or I can hide them in really neat places. This one actually has a removable hat off the top, so that's kind of cool. I went all out for Halloween. I made pumpkin ducks. I made ghost ducks. I make USA ducks, rainbow ducks, Valentine's ducks. I've made all kinds of different ducks. I make really super little ones. I make big ones like this one. This is actually a 2-magnet duck. But I really enjoy this. I like handing them out to people. I hide maybe half of the ones that I bring on a cruise, but I actually give them to about another half of the people that I meet on the cruise. It's just a really neat way to say hi or as a thank you to a crew member for something special that they did for you. It's a great icebreaker. You wouldn't believe how happy people are when they receive these little ducks. I 3D print them. I didn't mention that. They might cost me 5 or 10 cents to make one, maybe 5 cents worth of magnets for a double magnet one on the bottom. So it's really nothing on my end. I enjoy making them in the first place. I usually bring about 10 or so per day for the cruise length. So on a 7-day cruise, I might bring like 70 of them, maybe a little more, depending on how I'm feeling. I've got a huge box I'll show you later of ducks of every size, color, design, everything. So let's get right into it. I'll show you how I make these things, how I put the magnets in the bottom, how I come up with different designs, how I tweak those designs. So let's get right into it. So this is where all of the magic starts. I found a file out on the internet on one of the 3D modeling sites. It's called a mesh file. So I searched for a duck and I found hundreds or even thousands of different duck mesh files. I picked one that I liked and I kind of have stuck with that. I have made some variations on it, but so I took that mesh file and I imported it into this CAD software. This is Fusion 360, and in CAD I can manipulate it. I can edit it. In this case, this is one of my large ducks, so I added some text on the bottom, and here you can see I think this one says Liberty of the Seas with the sail date on it. I usually make a couple of these and hand them out to maybe people I have eaten supper with a couple times, or someone special I've met on board. I usually only bring 1 or 2 or maybe 3 tops of these ones. So this software allows me to edit it. I used it to add the broomstick under the witch, make a hat, all kinds of things like that. So once I edit it to my liking, I can resave it as a mesh file that's been modified, and I can import it into this software. So this is Cura. This is the software that takes that file and interprets it for the 3D printer. So it takes and it slices my model into layers depending on how I define how tall each layer is. It figures out if it needs any kind of supports, if there's overhangs, whatever, and it spits out a file that the 3D printer can use. And here's my 3D printer working away on one of those large ducks. One of these takes quite a while, about 2 hours or so, depending on the settings. But it can spit out a little duck in about 5 minutes or so. So it really depends on the size. This 3D printer is using PLA filament. It's polylactic acid, which is a derivative of cornstarch. So it's a biodegradable material, but it has its limitations. It's not good in high heat. It's not good out in the sun. UV exposure tends to degrade it, but it's fairly cheap as well. A 2.5-pound spool costs around $15 to $20, so it's fairly cheap. So I've got virtually nothing into the material. It's really just time. Once the ducks are done on the 3D printer, sometimes it takes a little bit of clean out. I do design a little hole in the bottom of each, and these little magnets pop in there. These magnets are running about 3 cents each on Amazon. Here's an example of a link to purchase these. I purchased them 200 at a time, in this case for $6. So very, very cheap on the materials there as well. The large ducks take 2 magnets. Most of the smaller ones only take 1. I did experiment with larger size magnets, but I just didn't find that I needed all of that strength. So I showed some examples in the intro of different ducks that I've made. Here's some more examples. Here's a rainbow duck I made. Here you can just hot swap the different colors into the 3D printer as it's laying down the layers to change the colors. Here's a Santa hat I made for Christmas to put on my ducks. I do have a series of ducks that have a hole in the head, so I can swap in different hats for different festivities or different seasons. This Santa hat was made using that hot swap color technique, so I started with white and then hot swapped it to red and then hot swapped it to white to finish off the ball on the top. So here's another Christmas one I did. Here's a snowflake. So it's a duck in the middle of a snowflake. Here's a USA duck I made. Again, hot swapping the layers to make the red and the white, alternating layers for the stripes of the flag, and then the blue head. Here are varying sizes of ducks I make. I usually make the ones towards the right, the larger sizes. I think it's fun to make the really small ones as well. Here's a duck I made for a cruise we went on in February for Valentine's Day. I did make a bunch of other hats, but I didn't seem to have kept any pictures or examples of those. I made like a Viking hat with the horns coming out. I made all kinds of different hats. So possibilities are endless. It's really as far as your imagination can take it. Like I mentioned earlier, I give most of my ducks away. I do hide some though. Some of my favorite hiding spots are on the railings around the ship. I do like to hide them outside. It's nice with the magnets. They stick to certain surfaces of the ship. You'd be surprised how many surfaces of the ship are constructed of either aluminum or stainless or some other non-magnetic surface. So you can't hide them everywhere. I also like to put them on the elevator. They stick to the bezels around the lights up above your head. You can get really tricky with where you hide them. The only place the cruise ship doesn't want you to hide them is in the stores, in the restaurants, and in the pool. I have had some escape out of my pockets in the pool, but it's frowned upon. I'm sure they don't want to fish those out of the filter later in the day when it clogs everything up. Quite often I'll give them to maybe someone in customer service that's helped me out, or the Diamond Concierge is a common recipient of my ducks. I'll give them to people I meet around the ship. If somebody comments on my Ducky shirt, usually I'll give them one. And you would be amazed at the responses I get from people. Some people are just overcome with excitement over getting such a simple little thing as a duck. And sometimes the kids' faces light up like it's the best present they've ever received. Sometimes you see kids wandering around the ship looking for ducks. But sometimes you run into somebody that has never even heard of this before. I know at one point in my cruising career, I guess I'll call it, I didn't know anything about cruising ducks either. So it's not a widely known thing. But quite a few people I bump into have heard about it. And like I say, some people are out there actively looking for them. Here are some ducks that I've either received or found while I'm on the ship. I have quite a collection going. Here's a little rubber penguin duck. Some of these had tags originally, but maybe didn't survive the trip. Usually when I find one with a tag, I try to make sure to give a shout out to the people on Facebook. Usually there's a Facebook group for every single sailing. If not, I'll start my own Facebook group. But it's very nice to let people know that you found their duck. Here's a super small rubber duck. Most of them are about twice this size. You can actually find a lot of different designs of these on Amazon in bulk. Here's a really neat 3D printed one. I met a couple in the casino bar and I gave them one of my ducks, and the husband ran off and came back and brought me his own little 3D printed duck. I really like this hollow mesh design. It's really neat. Here's a classic yellow rubber duck with a really neat custom tag on it. Here's another one with another custom tag. There are all kinds of tag designs. I think you can actually buy the tags pre-made. Many people print their own with their names on them. Here's a themed one for Christmas, a snowman duck with a passport. This is a pretty unique idea for a tag. I had never seen one of these before, a rubber duck in a rubber box. This is actually one of my favorites. I was hanging down on the promenade deck on, I want to say, Radiance of the Seas. Can't remember. But some lady ran up to me. She goes, "Are you the guy with all the ducks?" And she gave me this little push pin duck. It's so neat. The little cork comes off the bottom and you can use it as a push pin. I thought that was so cool. So you may be asking, what do I do if I find one of these ducks? So there's a bunch of different options. You could find a duck. The most common spot is probably in plants around the ship. People love to hide them in the planters, or like on an Oasis class ship. The Central Park area is a favorite spot to put them down at the bases of the plants as well. But if you find a duck, you can choose to either keep it or rehide it or give it to someone else, or maybe take the duck from the spot and put one of your own ducks in its place and then continue the chain going. I personally choose to keep most of the ducks that I find unless I find a repeat one. I give out plenty of them, so I don't feel bad taking one. I usually replace each one I found with probably 5 additional ones. But you can do whatever you want. A lot of people like to keep them and give them to a kid they see, or like I said, rehide them somewhere else. So pretty simple little process. If you want to learn more about this, just Google cruising ducks and you'll find all kinds of pages about it. I have my own Facebook page called Justin's Cruising Ducks, where I post like different designs that I come up with, or even pictures of ones that I've found. But there's a ton of information out there. I'll put a bunch of different links in the description. Hopefully you enjoyed that little peek into cruising ducks, how I make mine, the ducks other people bring, what to do if you find one, what kids are doing if you see them rummaging around in the flowers on the ship. So anyhow, if you enjoyed that, please slap a like on there. I'd also appreciate a subscription if you're interested in this type of material. I plan on making more in the future, and I really like to see those subscription numbers go up. It lets me know that you guys are enjoying these and want to see more. If you see the guy on the ship that looks kind of like me, is wearing a shirt kind of like this, come say hi. I'll probably have a pocket full of ducks, and I'd be happy to give you one.